tell you for sure which of the merry pranksters got the idea for the bus, but it had the Babs touch. It was a super prank, in any case. The original fantasy here in the spring of 1964 had been that Kesey and 4 or 5 others would get a station wagon and drive to New York for the New York World's Fair. On the way, they could shoot some film, make some tape, freak out on the fair, and see what happened. They would also be on hand in New York for the publication of Kesey's second novel, Sometimes a Great Notion, early in July. So went the original fantasy. Then somebody, Babs, saw a classified ad for a 1939 International Harvester school bus. The bus belonged to a man in Menlo Park. He had a big house and a lot of grounds and a nice set of tweeds and flannels and 11 children. He had rigged out the bus for the children. It had bunks and benches and a refrigerator, sink for washing dishes, and cabinets and shelves, a lot of other nice features for living on the road. Kesey bought it for $1,500 in the name of Intrepid Trips, Inc. Kesey gave the word and the pranksters sat upon it one afternoon. They started painting it for sound and cutting a hole in the roof and fixing up the top of the bus so you could sit up there in the open air and play music. A set of drums and electric guitars and electric bass and so forth. Or just ride. Sandy went to work on the wiring and rigged up a system with which they could broadcast from inside the bus, with tapes or over microphones, and it would blast outside over powerful speakers on top of the bus. There were also microphones outside that would pick up sounds along the road and broadcast them inside the bus. There was also a sound system inside the bus you could broadcast to one another over the roar of the engine and the road. You could also broadcast over a tape mechanism so that you said something, then heard your own voice a second later in variable lag, and could rap off on that if you wanted to. Or you could put on earphones and rap simultaneously off sounds from outside coming in one ear and sounds from inside, your own sounds, coming in the other ear. There was gonna be no goddamn sound on that whole trip, outside the bus, inside the bus, or inside your own freaking larynx that you couldn't tune in on and rap off of. The painting job, meanwhile, was everybody pitching in a frenzy of primary colors, yellows, oranges, blues, reds, was sloppy as hell, except for the parts Roy Severn did, which were nice manic mandalas. Well, it was sloppy, but one thing you had to say for it, it was freaking lurid. Further, with 2 U's. They took a test run up into Northern California, and right away this wild-looking thing with the wild-looking people was great for stirring up consternation and vague, befuddling resentment among the citizens. The pranksters were now out among them, and it was exhilarating. Look at the mothers staring, and there was going to be holy terror in the land. But there would also be people who would look up out of their poor work-a-daddy lives in some town. Registered delight, or just pure open invitation wonder. Either way, the intrepid travelers figured there was hope for these people. They weren't totally turned bus going through the woods up north and the forest fire had started. There was smoke beginning to pour out of the woods and everything. Everybody on the bus had taken acid and they were dissolved. The acid was in some barreling through the burning woods, wrenching the steering wheel. swollen post baby lungs and yellow nappies in the existential culmination of Oregon. Lots of outhouse freaks up there, you understand, sir. A punctual sort of state, sir, yes, sir. Holds to 28,000 pounds. 28,000 pounds. Whereupon he yanks back on the handbrake as if it's attached to something, which it isn't. It is just dangling there, and jams his foot on the regular brake, and the bus shudders as if the handbrake has a hell of a bite. The cop is thoroughly befuddled now, anyway, because Cassidy's monologue has confused him, for one thing. What the hell are these people doing? By this time, everybody is off the bus, rolling in the brown grass by the shoulder, laughing, giggling, yahooing, zaunt to the skies on acid, because, Mom, the woods are burning, the whole world is on fire. Rising up from out of his throat like weenie smoke, as if the great Godspeed was frying in his innards, and the cop, representative of the people of California in this total freaking situation, is all hung up on a handbrake that doesn't exist in the first place. And the cop, all he can see is a bunch of crazies in screaming orange and green costumes. Boys and girls, men and women, 12 or 14 of them, Christ almighty, why the hell is he so he wheels around and says, "What are you, a show people?" "That's right, officer," Kesey says. "We're show people. It's been a long road home, I can tell you. And it's gonna be a long road home, but that's the business." "Well," says the cop, "you fix up those things and..." Starts backing off toward his car, having one last look at the crazies. "And watch it next time." And he guns on off. How can you give a traffic ticket to a bunch of people rolling in the brown grass, wearing Taylor masks, practically Greek masks, only with rat phosphorescent halon, giggling, keening in their costumes of private world, while the Godspeed sizzles like a short order fry, and they've got us some guy who doesn't even stop talking Greek. Traffic ticket. Pranksters felt more immune than ever. There was no more reason for them to remain in isolation while the ovoid eyes of La Honda suppurated. They could go through the face of America, muddling people's minds. But it's a momentary high. The bus would be gone, the old fab foam in their heads would settle back down into their brain pangs. So, the Hieronymus Bosch bus headed out of Kesey's place with a destination sign in front reading further. It was weird, all right, but it was euphoria on board, barreling through all that warm California sun in July on the road, and everything they had been working on at Kesey's was on board and heading on further. Besides, the joints were going around, and it was nice and high out here on the road in America. headed out, Cassidy was at the wheel, and there was Kesey, Babs, Paige Browning, George Walker, Sandy, Jane Burton, Mike Hagan, Hassler, Kesey's brother Chuck, and his cousin Dale, a guy known as Brother John, and 3 newcomers who were just along for the ride or just wanted to go to New York. One of them was a young, quite handsome kid, looked sort of like the early, thin Michael Caine in Zulu, named Steve Lambert. He was the brother-in-law of Kesey's lawyer, Paul Robertson, and he was just riding to New York to see a girl he knew named Kathy. Another was a girl named Paula Sunston. She was young, plump, bluiant, and very sad. We're from Oregon. Another one was some girl Hagen of the Screw Shack had picked up in San Francisco on North Beach. She was the opposite of Paula Sunston. She was thin, had long dark hair, and would be moody and silent one minute and nervous and carrying on the next. She was good looking like a TV bitch. By the time they hit San Jose, barely 30 miles down the road, a lot of the atmosphere of the trip was already established. It was nighttime, and many souls were high, and the bus had broken down. They pulled into a service station. Pretty soon one of the help has his nose in under the hood, looking at the engine. Cassidy races the motor. Fluorescent stanchion lights around the station hit the bus in weird phosphorescent splashes. Car lights streamed by on the highway. inside, plunking a mandolin and laughing. In what way? Outside, some character, some local, over to the bus. But the trouble is, he's not at all impressed with the bus. He just has to do the American man thing, and somebody's car is broken down. And he's saying to Keezy, I'd say you need a... I'm not a good mechanic, but naturally leads to his diagnosis. Well, the way making spooktastic witch kings and goons, and like I say, what you need is a good mechanic. I'm not a good mechanic, but of course, the non-people, the whole freaking world was full of people who were bound to tell you they weren't qualified to do this or that, but they were determined to go ahead and do it anyway. Keys to something. Big briefing before taking off to the east. Keezy starts talking the old soft Oregon drawl, and everybody's quiet. Here's what I hope will happen on this trip, he says. What I hope will continue to happen, because it's already starting to happen. All of us are beginning to do our thing, and we're gonna keep doing it right out front, and none of us are going to deny. Bullshit, says Jane Burton. This brings Keezy up short for a moment, but he just rolls with it. That's Jane, he says, and she's doing her thing. Bullshit. That's her thing, and she's doing it. None of us are going to deny what other people are doing. If saying bullshit is somebody's thing, then it's bullshit. Somebody's an ass kicker, then that's what he's gonna do on this trip. Kick asses. He's gonna do it right out front, and nobody is gonna have anything to get pissed off about. Just say, I'm sorry I kicked you in the ass, but I'm not sorry I'm an ass kicker. That's what I do. People in the ass. Everybody must be what they are. And whatever they are, there's not gonna be anything to apologize about. What we are, we're gonna wail with on this whole trip. All ass, and what we are out across the Southwest, with all of it on film and on tape, refrigerator, stove, sink, fax, the roar of the bus, rock and roll, Jimmy Smith. Cassidy's revved up like they've never seen him before, with his shirt off, a straw version of a cowboy hat on his head, bouncing up and down on the driver's seat, shifting gears, doubly clutch, blamming on the steering wheel and the gear shift box, rapping over the microphone rigged up by his seat like a manic tour guide, describing every car going by. There's a barber going down the highway, cutting his hair 500 miles an hour, you understand? So remember those expressions: sacrifice, glory. The D-Glom ointment, Sergeant, says Babs, rapping at Steve Lambert's. The only cure for joint glom gets the joint off the lip in instant. D-Glom! And so on, because Steve always has a joint glommed onto his lip, and in fact gets higher than any man alive, on any and all things one throws his way, and picks up the name Zonker on this trip. D-Glom for the Zonker! And then Babs parodies Cassidy. And there's a Cadillac with Mary Antoinette! And the speaker wail, and the mandolin wails, and the weird laugh wails, and the variable lag wails, zail, 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 zail. And somebody, who? Hell, everybody wails. We're finally beginning to move after 3 fucking days! On the second day, they reached Wickiup, an old Wild West oasis out in the Arizona desert along Route 60. It was all gray-brown desert and sun, and this lake, which was like a huge slimy kelp pond, where the air was fantastic. Sandy felt great. Then Kesey held the second briefing. They were going to take their first acid of the trip here and have their first major movie production. He and Babs and the gorgeous, sexy Paula Sunston were going to take acid. Wiki up. And the others were going to record. And Walker were going to film it. Sandy was going to handle the sound, and Ron Bever was going to take photographs. Sandy, first twinge of what? Like, there's gonna be authorized acid only, and like, they're gonna be separated into performers and workers, stars and backstage. Like, there's an inner circle and an outer circle. This was illogical, because Hagen and Walker certainly were closer to Kesey than any other pranksters, besides Babs, and they were workers too. And that was the way he feels. But he didn't say anything, not out front. Kesey and Babs and Paula hooked down some acid orange juice from the refrigerator and wait for the vibrations. Paula is in a hell of a great mood. She has never taken LSD before, but she looks fearless and immune and ready for it all. And she hooks down at her slug. Wait for the vibrations. And here they come. Babs has a big walking stick, and he's waving it around in the air. And the three of them, Babs, Kesey, and Paula, go running, kicking, and screaming toward the lake. And she dives in and comes up with her head covered in muck and great kelpy strands of green pond slime, and beaming in a way that practically radiates out over the face of the lake and the desert. She surfaced euphoric. Ooh! It's sparkling! long strands of slime slithering hair outward with her hands and rocking and freaking over it. It sparkles. The beads of water on her slime strands are like diamonds to her, and everybody feels her feeling at once, even Sandy. Ooh, it sparkles. Surface euphoric. Euphorically garlanded. Greasy garlands of pond slime. The happiest. Euphoric for her. Gretchen fetchin' the slime queen! He yells and waves his cane at the sky. Ooh, it sparkles. Gretchen fetchin' the slime queen. It sparkles. Gretchen fetchin'. And it is beautiful. Everybody goes manic and euphoric like a vast contact high, like they have all suddenly taken acid themselves. Keezy is in an athletic romp, tackling the ferns and other slimy greenery in the lake. Babs and Paula, Gretchen fetchin' are Hagen is feverishly filming it all. Sandy has a set of huge cables stretched out to the very edge of the lake, picking up the sound. Ron Bevert is banging away with his camera. Babs and Paula, Gretchen fetchin' and Keezy keep plunging out into the mucky innards of the lake. Come back! Hagen, the cameraman, starts yelling. You're out of range! But Babs and Paula and Keezy can't hear him. They are cartwheeling further and further. The current fantasy by now, late evening, most of the pranksters have cleared out of the warehouse, off to take a shower at the apartment of Guts, an ex-Hell's Angel who has a psychedelic shop called Joint Ventures, off to here, off to there. Just Keezy and a couple of others left in the warehouse. Keezy stands in the gloom of the control center, over to the side amid the tapes and cans of movie film marked with adhesive strips and notebooks and microphones and wires and coils, speakers, amplifiers. The prankster Arthurs, and the cape drones on in a weird voice full of Ouija whammy. The blissful counterstroke, a considerable message. Considerable new message. The current fantasy. The word easy has taken to using more and more for all sorts of plans, ventures, worldviews, ambitions. It is a good word. It is ironic, and it isn't. It refers to everything from getting hold of a pickup truck, that's our fantasy for this weekend, to some scary stuff out on the raggedy edge, like the current fantasy, which is somehow to be told. Not only that, it had true cultural